The next technique we're going to use is acupuncture, and we tend to use a lot of trigger points for acupuncture, which is technically not acupuncture, but it's called the dry needling technique. Whenever you get small patches of muscle spasm causing a reflex response and tight fascia covering the muscle, these tend to be quite sensitive, and they can also cause a shutdown to the nerve cells that control the circulation, so this stimulates the circulation to be opened up. You feel like a funny aching when the needle goes in, which Charlotte's experiencing now, and then it settles down. It causes a bit of a reflex response in the muscle, and then it resets the muscle and allows the circulation to open up. We tend to stimulate this until that reaction goes. Usually takes about 30 seconds to a minute to settle down. That kind of resets the muscle.
Yeah.
And opens up the circulation, relaxes the muscle more. Okay. This next technique can be taught the patient to do at home, which is allied to what we've just seen, the trigger point acupuncture. And it's just designed to open up the supply of circulation to the muscles, controlled by a chain of nerve cells that run outside the spinal cord, just underneath the rib cage. You can stimulate them with a little bit of cold therapy, not ice cold therapy, so you wouldn't use an ice pack, that would cause an overstimulation, but just a cold bottle out of the fridge, and we apply it just to the side of the spine for 5 seconds, on both sides of the spine. 5 seconds, and we'll repeat that 3 times. Now you can do that periodically throughout the day, and this helps to maintain the circulation supply to the arms, the middle back. The same applies to the legs. That's controlled by the chain of sympathetic fibres in this part of the back, and you can apply the same cold therapy to the bare skin either side of the spine. 5 seconds on each side. And you do that 3 times with a cold bottle, not a nice cold bottle, just a fridge cold bottle. And that's a take-home technique the patient can use at home to open up the circulation to the limbs. This next group of techniques falls under the banner of manipulation. So very often in bodybuilding, these little facet joints in the spine get glued up like that, or adhesed, obviously through constant usage or a lot of pressure applied. Tiny lesions can occur in the soft tissues around the area. This tends to cause a reflex response to cause these joints to tighten up, to go into like a protective mode, and if left for too long they can really gum up. So these techniques we're going to apply all through the spine. We're just going to demonstrate the lumbar spine and the neck. So again, the same thing applies to these facet joints in the neck. So we're going to show a rotational manipulation and a side flexion manipulation, which opens up the facet joints like that. So I'll do the neck first. Okay. There's various levels you can manipulate, but I'll just show you a general level in the middle of the neck. There they'll go. Oh, yeah, good mind doing it all. Yes, that's good. Deep breath. So this next group of techniques is stretching. Now stretching incorporates stretching of the muscle, the tendons, and also, as we see here, including the nerves. And this particular nerve is a sciatic nerve that runs down the back of the leg. That can very often get tight when the gluteal muscles get tight. So this is one stretch we can do. This is called a neural gliding technique. So as you can see, straightening the knee, bringing the hip into flexion as well, pulling the foot down, flexing the neck, and then it's a small amplitude movement at the end of the range which mobilises the nerve. So with this one, stretching one of the nerves that comes into the hand, which runs from the neck, called the ulnar nerve. So we place the head into a side bent position, bring the arm into flexion, elbow flexed and the wrist flexed. And then we'll floss right at the end. So you do a neural gliding, small amplitude movement right at the end of the movement. And that stretches the nerve that runs down the back of the arm. We can apply that to the radial nerve. So equivalent radial nerve stretch, we'll be bringing the arm out to the side, head in the same position, pronating the forearm down and flexing the wrist, and then flossing at the end like that. So these are good techniques that we can use to stretch not just the muscles and the tendons but also the nerves. So the next section is about postural correction, and we use various exercises and we use a taping technique to help this. Now this is a typical scenario of the posture that Charlotte's in now. Obviously this can apply to many people. You can imagine people on their iPhones, their computers, and they've got a protracted chin, so they've got shortening of these muscles behind the neck and a lengthening of these muscles behind the upper back. And you can see the shoulders are pushed forwards, what we call a protracted state. Sometimes you can develop problems with the shoulder blade, where the shoulder blade is not functioning correctly with the shoulder. And in this situation, this is quite common with bodybuilders as well. Very often they don't concentrate enough on retraction movements, and they get too tight around the pectoral and the pec minor areas, and the shoulders are drawn forwards in a protracted posture, and they eventually become fixed in that position. So we really give them some exercises to open out and strengthen the muscles up behind, or work the muscles behind to rehabilitate the posture. We'll also show you a taping technique we sometimes do with people to help to reset the shoulder position and to just give them that encouragement to try and maintain a good posture with the shoulder and the back. So we need to bring the shoulder back into position. We need to bring the upper back into an extended position. Open the arm out. Sometimes the shoulder can be elevated, so we need to depress the shoulder, bring it back, and we're going to fix to a degree in that position. It's what we call a functional tape. So we use the kinesio tape. We're doing it in a functional fashion, so it's not fixing absolutely securely, but it allows for movement, but it helps to re-educate the position. So we're going to apply the tape to the front of the shoulder, pull back, apply a little bit of stretch. This is good for treating winging scapula as well, this technique, and we're going to tape the scapula up a little bit as well. So I'll laterally rotate, depress and retract. One around. Good job you've got your nose on your back, Charlotte. There we also, and then pull it down and back, that's it. So we're pulling the scapula around, just the inferior border there, fixing that down. A little bit long that tape, but that'll be okay for now. Normally cuts it a little bit shorter there, and then just release it. So feel a little bit degree of support there. So that tape can last up to a few days. You can have a shower with it on, and it just helps to control the posture a little bit. It's not fixing absolutely securely, but just